Buenos días, mi gente. Welcome to La Primera Vez. I'm your host, Christina Reid, and this is the digital talk show that gives you the chance to get to know your favorite Latinx celebrities and entertainers. And today we are joined by Jessie Reyez. Jessie, thank you so much for being here today with us.
Hello, thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
We are big fans of you over here at Latina, and we can't wait to just get to know more about you and your story. We have been following you for years, and we're excited to dig in. So we're going to take it all the way back, if that's cool with you. Can you talk to us about growing up in Canada as the daughter of Colombian immigrants and what that was like?
Like the differences when they began to get highlighted, like when I started noticing that in certain classes I was the darkest kid in my class, and when I started noticing that some girls will make fun of my accent because I went into school not speaking any English. So I had an accent for like the first couple years, and I didn't come to understand that those differences were a gift to my life until I was older, you know? I think it taught me, like having Colombian parents taught me how much of a gift it is to be different. People are making fun of you, you just gotta let it go. And it made me have thicker skin, and it made me appreciate the value of $1 more. Like there's a lot. It's a gift, you know, to be born to an immigrant family. It's a gift.
That's beautiful. I think that you have just illustrated that perfectly. What others may have seen as a hindrance or an obstacle, you saw as a gift, which I'm sure so much of our audience can relate to. We all have hardworking parents who have sacrificed so much for us. And so I think that is just such a wonderful way that you put that. At what point when you're growing up do you realize that you have a musical talent, and two, that this is something that you want to pursue?
I was like under 10 when I started showing an affinity to it. My mom saw me singing opera in front of the TV when I was like 3. I was like, that's different. So she took me to this music store, or this music school that was in the corner of Jane and Finch in Toronto. And it's in the basement of a Pizza Hut.
Wow.
He begged this music teacher to take me on. He was like, no, she's too little, blah, blah. And she my mom didn't speak the best English at that point, and she just wouldn't leave till the guy said yes. And finally he was like, okay, fine, like we'll take her on. And so piano was my first instrument, and then singing, and then guitar, and it was just great. I was also having a guitar in the crib. Like my dad plays guitar, so having one at home to be able to grab it whenever, and you know, even do it on my time, because sometimes when your parents push you to things, it's normal for kids to want to be like, no. And then when no one's pushing you, you're like, okay, I want to do it now, like on my terms, on my accord. So it was really beneficial to just have it in the house, to be able to grab it low key when I wanted to, you know?
I love that. That's so funny that you say that, because my parents tried to get me into every single instrument and every single class in martial arts. And because they wanted me to do it, I was like, oh, I cannot do this. The moment that they were like, okay, we're going to pull you out of it, I'm like, no. I think now is when I want to do it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
One time you once said, because I've been doing my research, you said, I am Jessie Reyez and I write sad songs. I am Christina Reid and I only listen to sad songs, like exclusively. So from sad girl to sad girl, what have been, or who has been your like sad musical influences, those soulful people who just inspired you to just bare your soul and you know, let you sit in those emotions when you make your music?
Amy Winehouse a lot. She was like my little friend in the dark, you know? Because when I was going through it, I always said like it felt like when family sees you sad and they're like, you're gonna get through it, and heartbreak happens to everybody and you'll find a way out. Sometimes when they're giving you advice, you can't help but feel biased because you're like, oh, you love me.
Right.
So you're like these platitudes. You're saying these to just help me feel better, and you don't take it for real. But when someone that's not attached to you says it, and when they speak, it sounds like your echo. It resonates with you, you know? It resonates different. So that's how I felt when I first started listening to her songs.
I love that so much. She is a light to so many people, and if only she were here right now, I can't even imagine how many other people she'd help. But the thing about music is that it makes you immortal, even though we humans are not. So her music will go on to help so many other people too. The same way your music helps people. I was gonna say, when I first heard Before Love Came to Kill Us, the first time I ever heard it, I cried. And only a few songs have ever made me do that, even though I am a huge crybaby. But That's the beauty of music. It's healing. It allows you to be sad when you need to be. So thank you for sharing your gift with us.
Thank you. That's crazy. Thank you. Man, Rick Rubin just posted something on Instagram today, and it was a quote talking about how, like, when people create and people receive and their pain resonates with each other, that's the beginning of healing. And it's just crazy. Because, like, I make music selfishly. Like, I always made it for myself. And it wasn't until I put it out and people started resonating that I was like, oh, shit, there's a positive derivative. There's a positive repercussion. There's a positive, like, effect. It was like people resonating when my pain ended up giving me purpose.
Wow. You are a writer in every sense of the word, because you're just dropping these little gems. Does that ever get daunting though? Like, does that fill you with a kind of like a sense of pressure where you know that people can find so much like comfort and kind of like rely on you for a lot of their healing?
I try to keep my mistakes on the surface. I try my best to just be honest, and I don't think I've ever tried to like come off as perfect, mainly because I have trust issues, and I feel away when people come into my life and pretend to be perfect, and then I see everything that's human, and I'm like, you could have just come with the human first,
right?
You know? And so then I try to do that in hopes that like karmic energy will make sure that people that come into my life have that energy. Like, if I'm real with you and I'm being straight with you and I'm showing you my flaws and I'm being as honest as possible, then God willing, magnetically, that's who I'll get and what I get from you.
What we get is what we attract, and I'm coming to you honest today. I'm very tone deaf, and I am recovering from a sinus infection, and I'm a Scorpio, so I'm already crazy. So that's how I'm coming to you today. Real honest.
Lit. That's lit. I love my big brother's a Scorpio. Sinus infections fucking suck, and tone is not an unearthly thing that gets corrected. So.
Okay, well, if you're trying to give me some lessons, then here we go.
Not lessons, man. It's love. It's crazy when people try to argue against that too, because I've just like, I remember having conversations with people that are like, "Are you believing in astrology and all that stuff?" And I'm like, listen, the plants have patterns, atoms have patterns, the way we breathe has patterns. What makes our life exempt? You know, right. And life is just music is patterns. Everything is patterns. So I feel like that's just an easy argument to answer somebody when they're like, "I don't believe in astrology." I'm like, your entire life is patterns. Why wouldn't it be patterns?
Right. We're getting so philosophical today. I'm like, my third eye is totally open right now. So just going back to your songwriting, it's real, it's authentic, and I'm always obsessed with the way that you're able to tie love back to these like real life feelings. So songs like Body Count and Far Away are just like two really big examples of that for me. How do you approach your songwriting process? I know you said you selfishly write, but how do you approach that process?
I just go into the room and I talk about my life. And I just freestyle. Like, if it's me by myself, it's me and the guitar just strumming chords till it evokes emotion, and then stuff starts coming out, and it's kind of like you just gotta. For me, I mumble shit, and then when like the sentence comes together and it hits, and I'm like, oh, this is the one I gotta follow, and then you go down that wormhole or down that rabbit hole. It's just a vibe. If I'm in there with the producer, it's kind of the same thing. We just vibe. It's definitely difficult when someone else has like a different process, like that I've been in the room, but you just adjust and you learn, right? Because there's creatives that I've worked with, like when I went in as a songwriter for another artist or for a producer for placement or whatever, and they want to work backwards and they want to work off like topic, or they want to work off like something else. It's lit for me because it takes me out of my comfort zone, because I don't write like that normally, right?
Yeah.
But I can do it. It's just not my preference. My preference is just a vibe, just freestyle.
I love that. Are you old school, like pen and paper when the moment comes to you? Yeah.
Yeah, I got a pen and paper.
I love that. Oh, I bet you have do you just have notebooks and papers and?
Yeah, I have a shelf of old notebooks at home.
Wow. Do you remember the first song that you ever wrote?
One of the first ones. It was ironic because I was like in grade 4 or 5. I was in grade 5, and it was about not growing up too fast, which is so funny. Like, what the hell is a 10-year-old writing about not growing up too fast? But that's what I was writing about.
That's pretty much the opposite of what any 10-year-old, if we were to ask them on the street, they would say, I want to be like 25 right now. Like, I want to be an adult so badly. So you just have this, you've had this wisdom since you were 10. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, this perennial immaturity that I can't fucking shake for the life of me is still very present.
And we must take that with us wherever we go. I can't try to grow up too fast. I have to stay present and grounded. So we have to celebrate you being a part of Suicide Squad franchise, have this kick-ass anthem. What was it like when you got the call to be a part of the project?
Mad sick. I was so happy. James Gunn had been following, the director, shout out James Gunn, had been following me on Twitter, and I remember looking at that like a year ago or something like that and being like, what the hell? That's strange. Like the Cardi B meme. That's different. And then
that's weird.
Yeah.
This is suspicious.
Yeah. And then Grandson reached out and I was like, oh shit, like let's work it out. And then once we did that, I found out that the soundtrack had another song of mine, and Sola, on it. So it's an honor, man. I think that's why it was just the universe like culminating, you know?
That's beautiful. In Rain, I listen to it all the time. There is a line that you say that says, in order for roses to bloom, you need to make peace with the rain. What, in your eyes, what does that mean to, like, for us to make peace with the rain?
Suffering is inevitable. And like, it's not me. That's a Taoism idea. The Buddhists touch on that too. Like, suffering is inevitable. Bob Marley had that in a song, like, it's just inevitable. It's just part of life. Like, you can't have a perfect life. It's impossible. So making peace with the rain is kind of just acceptance. It just is what it is, man. And you just gotta keep it moving forward. And if something hurts, sometimes you gotta let it hurt. And you can't connect dots backwards either. So like if something happened in your life, like you never know where that trauma is gonna lead you. Like one of the worst heartbreaks of my life ended up giving me the song that changed my life. Who the fuck would it, like, you know, the fact that that's fact is just crazy. And it happens all the time. Like, you know, sometimes it takes darkness to get someone to like see the light. If the sun was shining all the time, we'd hate the sun.
Right. I'm in New York right now. We're in a heat wave, and I'm dead ass hating the sun. I'm hating the sun right now.
Yeah. See. So. Yeah, that's what I mean. You just gotta make peace with it because it just is what it is.
And roses will continue to bloom the next day.
Yeah.
Life will go on, and we have to roll with the punches. And I think that's a really special way of saying that. So thank you for that. What can you share with us about any other upcoming projects that you're working on? Can you share anything?
I'm working on my album.
What do you hope that your fans get out of these upcoming projects?
What they always get, which I don't want to sound boring, but just like what they always get, like, fuck, man. If someone ever asks, like, what's a word that's synonymous with Jessie Reyez, I hope they say truth. That's what I've tried to get.
They would say that, 100%.
Yeah. That's what I hope they get. That's what I hope they got from Kiddo. That's what I hope they got from Being Human in Public. That's what I hope they got from Sola Caniquilas, and that's what they're gonna get from this. True.
That's really beautiful. I stand by that. If you did a poll right now, we could do it right now. They would say, yeah, 100% truth, honesty, authenticity, that flair, that beautiful voice. They would say all that and more. So it's about time for our last question. So for you are blazing this incredible trail. You have been Grammy nominated. No, not many people can say that. You have collabed with amazing artists in the industry. Babyface, Eminem, you name it, you've done it. We're in awe. And most of all, you're just putting out gorgeous music. So have there been any full circle moments so far that kind of in your path have made you realize, yes, I'm on the right track, and what I'm doing here in the music world, it's where I was meant to be? When I was 19, I went to a rave in Toronto, and I didn't want to pay because I was broke and I wanted to use the money for music. So my friends were like, fuck it, we'll pay for your ticket. Pull up. And I didn't want to go and just have fun. Like, I wanted to go and hustle. Everything in my head at that point, I feel like it still is, like, something needs to have a purpose towards my vocation. So I was like, I'm just going to bring mixtapes in my purse, and then I'm just going to hand them out and, like, give it to DJs or give it to people. So we go, and I snuck on stage while Calvin Harris was DJing. And I ran up to, like, the DJ podium, whatever, and I'm waving my mixtape in his face, and he's like, what the hell? Like, makes this face, but then starts laughing. And then one of his team members ran up, took the mixtape from me, and, like, shook their head like, I can't believe you, bitch. Like, you know, one of those. And then
security bagged me at that because they hadn't seen me run up, but they saw me there when I was at the podium, and I was like, and I still had so many mixtapes to get with, so I was like, I can't get kicked out the club. So I run off the stage and just jumped into the crowd. This is when I was 19, and then years later, after Figures got released, one of the DMs in my Twitter was Calvin Harris saying, yo, you're dope. People out here in LA are really excited about you. I just thought you should know. And I was like, holy fucking shit.
That is so badass. Like, that's nuts.
Crazy. And then we worked together. And then after our first session, I told them, I was like, so you know, I met you sort of, kind of, when I was 19.
That is such a kick-ass story, especially ending it as crowd surfing.
Yeah. I definitely sang. I wish I surfed. I just jumped into the crowd and then like got my feet to the ground real quick.
I love that. I was gonna say, if this obviously is not about me, this is all about you, but I have to say a full circle moment for me is in 2017, my dad once texted me a link to your performance at the BET Awards and said, you have to listen to this girl. She is unstoppable and you're gonna see her name everywhere. And I have seen your name everywhere, but now I'm seeing your name on a Zoom box in front of me, and it just feels so weirdly cyclical.
Shout out to your puppy. What's your puppy's name?
His name is Chris, and
shout out Chris. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you, Chris.
We love it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you.
We love you so much over here. We're going to continue to support you and let the people know where they can follow you. Anything new that we need to be aware of, and shout out anybody you want to shout out. This is the time.
Oh man, I mean shoot, everybody can find me on like Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, everything. Just Jessie Reyez, JESSIEREYES. I mean, sorry, JESSIEREYEZ. That's hilarious. I just spelled my name.
It's one of those days. Okay, we're allowed to misspell our names sometimes.
And then anybody I want to shout out, James Gunn and grandson, thank you guys. I appreciate them for bringing me on. Can't wait to see that shit in theaters, and everybody who's been running up the numbers, man, because Rain's been doing really well, and I'm just happy that people have embraced it how they're embracing it, you know.
Love it. We love Rain. We're gonna show out at the box office for Suicide Squad. You already know.
Lit, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.